Well, good morning, BUS22 students. This is week number 2 in our 8-week course in business or managerial communications here at Norco College. And this week we're going to be looking at presentations. As you know, one of the big assignments in this first module is doing an individual presentation on your 4 most significant life events. So this week we're going to be looking at presentations right out of your textbook. So make sure you read the chapter 14 and that you look at the do's and don'ts of business presentations, and that is another assignment you're working on. And so I'll be explaining all of that in this video. I do want to say that I know a lot of you have emailed me and wondered why the due date, or even today, why the due date is showing that it's passed. And that's because on both the do's and don'ts of business presentation discussion post assignment as well as the individual presentation assignment, I always keep the current week as the due date, because if I put the due date 3 weeks from now, many students won't even look at it until the very last week, and then they won't have enough time to do the assignments. So I make sure that I give you, the most current week as the due date. That way you see it, you go, what do I need to do? And then if you read the instructions, it says, you have to do this for week 1 on the do's and don'ts of business presentations, and that you don't need to do anything on week 1 as far as uploading anything for the individual presentation. So if you read the assignment instructions, that's the one that you really need to pay attention to. And I will be changing the due date on those assignments each week until we get to the final week. And then it'll say complete those assignments, and that's the final week. So that's what we'll be doing this week. So we're looking at presentations. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. I'm going to jump to our class in Canvas. And for some reason, I don't know why, but none of my images populated on any of my classes. I think it may just be a glitch with my computer, because it's fine when I look at it on my desktop computer. So this is my laptop. So I apologize, but you can see what's there. Of course, it's module 1. There's a start here button. So we're going to be in, of course, module number 1. This is the second week of the class. Hopefully the first week wasn't too difficult for you. Of course, you had a check-in assignment that you needed to complete. You had a quiz that you did, and then you're going to be starting last week both of those assignments. Now we're going to go ahead and move those 2 assignments down to this week, and we'll be going over all of that together. And we're going to change that from start those assignments to complete or continue those assignments. And again, you have 3 weeks to do these, so you should have started your discussion post last week, and what that meant was basically just really off the top of your head, write some do's and don'ts of somebody giving a presentation based off of what you've experienced. I'm sure you've seen students give presentations in a classroom, or you've watched, great presentations on TED or other, places. You've heard people speaking. So what makes a good speaker? What makes a poor speaker? And that's kind of what you're writing a list of or initially. And then week number 2, which is this week, you're going to be going in and looking at those videos, and you're going to be going in and looking at other students' lists and see what they've come up with. And if you want to edit your list, you're welcome to do that. You're going to comment on those students' lists. And then next week, the third week and the final week, you'll be making your final list based off of what you learned out of the book, what you watched on the videos, and what you saw other students doing in their list. So that's the 3 weeks. And so this assignment is not due until 11/9, but I'm going to go ahead and change this from start to continue since you have 2 more weeks to do it. And then I'm also going to change the due date to this week. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, I always keep the most current week as the due date. That way it keeps it in front of you and you don't neglect doing it or forget to do it until the last minute. So I went ahead and changed that. So now you have the end of this week, and this is the week you want to view and comment on other students' lists when it comes to the do's and don'ts. I'm going to go back to modules here, and I'm going to come down to the week number 2 again. So now see it says continue discussion post number 1, and then the same thing with the individual presentation assignment. This is where you're going to be recording a 5-minute, and it can't be any longer than 5 minutes, a 5-minute video of your 4 significant life events. If you do it in PowerPoint, you're able to actually have a video of yourself and audio with your screens and all of the slides that you've made in the background. There's a detailed explanation of this assignment, but it's not due until the 9th of November, which is 2 more weeks from today. I'm going to edit this one to say continue individual presentation. And this, yeah, so you have a few weeks still to do it. So last week you should have been basically, coming up with your four significant life events and maybe started to build your PowerPoint presentation. This week, you're going to want to begin to build your PowerPoint presentation with slides, and it explains how to do that in the assignment instructions here, what slides you need. So create those slides, and then next week you're going to be recording your presentation and then uploading it to Canvas. And keep in mind that sometimes because it's a large file, it does not upload smoothly. Sometimes it doesn't upload at all. And you will have trouble doing that, most of you. So I encourage you to either start early so that way you can get it uploaded in time, or B, you can also upload your presentation to YouTube or Vimeo or one of those, and you can click, get the link that it creates, put that in your assignment submittal, and that's just as good. You don't necessarily have to upload it to Canvas, but you do need to submit something, and that something should be a link to a video, maybe in YouTube or Vimeo. Those are the other options you have. So now it says continue your individual presentation. So that's what you're going to be doing in week 2. So again, as I scroll down, you have another check-in assignment. These are questions out of chapter 14. So make sure you read that chapter. Then you have a quiz on that chapter as well. You can take that up to 3 times. And then you're continuing your 2 assignments that you started last week. That's week number 2. That's what you should be focusing on. And again, there's nothing to submit this week for your individual presentation. Next week, you'll submit the final thing. But there, you should be commenting on other students' lists on the discussion post. That's what you should be doing this week, along with the check-in assignment and quiz. All right, so have a great week number 2. Um, Keep up the good work, and you will see me all on video again next week. Until then, have a great one.